A very good evening to one and all. I'm delighted to welcome you to a new episode of Futuristic Education, a web series dedicated to education, a collaborative initiative between Edudevs, School of Inspired Teaching and Learning, and Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham to enlighten and empower the education community in the new trends of future education. These are a city-based web series where the edu leaders are invited to voice their views on pertinent issues of the 21st century education. And today's city happens to be Kanpur. I am Divyani Kapoor, your host and moderator for the day. Let me take this opportunity to introduce you to our esteemed panel of today. Today, we have with us Maheshwar Chaitanya ji, Director Admissions, Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham University. We welcome you, sir. Let us welcome Ms. Shikha Banerjee, a veteran academician and founder principal, St. Anandram Japuria School, Kanpur. Welcome you, ma'am. We also have with us Ms. Ritu Vajpayee, another seasoned academician and principal, Mantora Public School, Kanpur. I welcome all our esteemed panelists and our dear audience to today's episode on re-envisioning the curriculum. You see, school systems should not base their curriculums on narrow realm of compartmentalized subjects, but on the curriculum should flow over fertile ideas of discipline, which makes it possible a fluid and dynamic, and what I always call to create a robust curriculum that is interdisciplinary. And that is also the very demand of the 21st century. It is reflected in the Sustainable Development Goals. It is one of the key aspirations. And it also forms the edifice of our national education policy. A curriculum, in simple words, is the core of learning establishments. It's a combination of instructional practices, learning experiences, and then what is the outcome, student learning outcomes in the form of assessments. But having said that, it's important to note, no matter what country or district or whichever place the student may belong to, everything begins and starts with a solid plan. I was reading a report which said September 2021, Union Ministry of Education constituted a 12-member committee, National Steering Committee, to develop a national curriculum framework in compliance with the National Education Policy 2020. The earlier being, which India had been using, was NCF 2005, which was revisited 2009. And it did place the child at the center of the teaching learning process. We also know that the aim of this was a holistic development of the child. But how far were we able to achieve this was questioned. Today, after 16 years, there has been an emergence of new avenues where jobs are being created and an entirely new set of demands are being created. We keep deliberating on this. For example, India is experiencing a tech boom, and skills like coding, big data, and artificial intelligence has become the order of the day. Let us ask our panelists what they have to say about curriculum. What are the factors that showcase the effectiveness of the curriculum? And how do we know that a curriculum being followed at the school is effective? Does it in sync with the current scenario? Let us just see what our panelists say. We begin with Ms. Shikha Banerjee, moving to Chaitanya ji, and then Dr. Ritu Bajpai. Yes, Ms. Shikha Banerjee.
Very pertinent question here, Devyani. Very, very relevant and very, very necessary for all of us to ponder on. The baseline remains that there is a content, or there should be a content, which should have its learning objectives very clear. And then after the deliberation, implementation, usage of the content, and evaluation procedure, which gives you some very reasonable learning outcomes. And we take a match of how close are we to our objectives. There are some laid down objectives for every school, for every curriculum. And the match that it has with the learning outcome tells us about the success of the content transaction. Having said that, as I told you, this is a very, very basic outline of evaluating a curriculum, whether it is effective, not effective. But with the passing time, there are so many things that have come in as the components of education, where today, particularly, education has a very, very clear difference with academics, because education is not just academics. It talks about a holistic education which comprises of physical growth, mental growth, emotional stability, professional understanding, and of course, much more than that, where a large number of knowledge or understanding comes from the digital world. The digital world today has become an integral part of the curriculum, of the transaction of the academics that is going on, and we need to keep it included. That is here, the digitalization is here to stay. But as I told you, every aspect has to be catered to. We have to talk about physical growth. We have to talk about the professional area also. Students today and their parents are very cautious about what they learn, how they take it forward, how it is utilized in their life, and what sort of a professional growth does it promise. Right? So those are also very, very important, but the journey still remains from a plan to an objective, content delivery, learning experience, and so on. So I would like to put it like this, that the goals need to be very clearly defined and need to be analyzed also, reiterated, revisited, redefined, and brought back to the plan. The ways of learning have to be hybrid, with emphasis on physical learning as well as digital learning. So because today's digital world will be there with our students within the school or beyond the school also. We have to look into it, what the children have acquired, the skills they require, the soft skill, the professional skills, whatever they require, the competencies, the ability to cater to the revised edition of the Bloom's taxonomy. I'm telling you, not the original one. Original one is very similar, but we'll have to make sure that it is in sync with the revised Bloom's taxonomy. Thank you, Devyani. I'm sorry I've taken more time, I know.
No. Not at all, not at all. In fact, I was just jotting down that you have actually encapsulated, all aspects. And let's see now what Maheshwara Chaitanya ji has to say as to how an effective curriculum is important and what makes a curriculum effective.
I think I'll start from where Shikha ma'am actually stopped. She mentioned one important factor is the digitization. Now, what we have seen in the past 2.5 years is that the students actually finally, the consumers are the students. Students are the end users of curriculum. They are expected to realize the curriculum and apply the concepts practically in different fields of life. So digitization has been playing a very critical role. Internet has been evolved, and each and every student has access to the internet. Now, whatever curriculum we develop for the schools, the ideal aspect has to come from how much we are able to deliver it in the classroom, and how far we are able to expose the students to the real-time applications, so that they're able to connect both the concepts as well as how this can be applied. Now, what has happened in the past is that the students, the children are becoming more and more smarter. So my thing, I am more focusing on the teacher side, where how is it possible for us to uplift the teaching community, so that whatever curriculum is envisaged by the authorities can be delivered effectively, which is very crucial. That is what I have always been pushing for. And of course, these kind of platforms it's a moment or situation where we can discuss about this. So the first thing is how you balance between the life skills and digitization. What will happen in case if more kind of more kind of digitization happens, and there is hybrid learning, full-time online learning, etc. Second factor is how do we raise the level of the teachers, standard of the teachers. And third is how we can deliver as teachers. How is it possible for us to deliver the real-time applications in the classroom, connecting with the concepts with the help of technology? These three aspects remains very important from my perspective, as far as a curriculum is concerned, and delivery of whatever has been envisaged is also concerned. Thank you, ma'am.
So much. Thank you so much, Chetanaji. I think bang on said that you just kind of gave a summary to what Shikha Banerjee ma'am was saying, that digitization becomes very important. And if we aspire our students with the kind of skills that we are looking at, we need to empower. And third is the delivery in the real-time scenario is going to be very, very important. Let us hear what Ms. Ritu Bajpai has to reflect upon.
Thank you, Devyani ma'am. Thank you. Actually, as far as effectiveness of the curriculum is concerned, I would like to say that we believe incorrectly that classroom instruction as natural as showing your child how to fish or helping a nephew play. Okay. So after a curriculum is developed, the curriculum committee can breathe a sigh of relief, but their work is not done. Only when the curriculum is implemented and then evaluated will the committee know to what extent their efforts were successful. It is fair to say that no curriculum is perfect, let me say, because there are almost factors that may influence the curriculum that were unknown during the development process. So I know that every curriculum, if it is to be most effective, is revised based on the result of an evaluation. So here I'll say that curriculum evaluation is an essential part of the curriculum development process. And then monitoring is very important. Then types of the curriculum evaluation, what we are adopting to evaluate the curriculum, and key elements while writing good curriculum. This is also very important. And a well-written curriculum affect teaching and learning both. So how can the aligned curriculum concept help to organize the curriculum development process? This is very much important, because once the curriculum is developed but properly not evaluated and not monitored, then because as per the needs of the children, as per the need of the society, and as per the need of those to whom we are catering, our curriculum should be designed. Curriculum evaluation, I'll say, is the assessment process of programs, whatever processes and whatever curricular products that are resources, can be not only people, but it can be resources. So there are two parts of the evaluation, I'll say, that of the curriculum instruction process. The first is evaluation of students. evaluation of the students most often in meeting the standards which takes place before, during, and after the instruction also. And the question is, have the objectives been met? This we have to visualize ourselves, that objectives of the curriculum, with whatever objectives the curriculum is framed, those objectives are met or not. And teachers analyze student assessment data to see how many students have met or not met the objectives and at what level of performance. So the second is, I'll say, the evaluation of the effectiveness of the guides and resources, whatever we are using to implement the curriculum in the class or in our institution. So this is often done in groups and even over a period of time also. So definitely evaluation, I'll say, and a few things which I will again say, that objective of the making curriculum, adequate resources for implementing a curriculum we should have, we need to check, are the methods the best alternatives for achieving these objectives we are adopting or not before, and then monitoring. But monitoring, I'll say, it is little different from evaluating, because monitoring is a continuous review of the progress of planned activities. So we put it differently. It is the routine, daily, weekly, or monthly. This we can do. It is a assessment of ongoing activities and progress, whatever we are implementing after framing curriculum.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Bajpai. I think very well said that some of the components, I would say, the objective, the objectives have to be clearly defined, and your, resources have to be well in place. And then, of course, differential needs. I'm actually reminded of John Dewey. Whenever we talk about curriculum, I think John Dewey's name stands tall, the book that he wrote, The Child and the Curriculum. And I think way back in 1902, he wrote this book, and it is at that time he said that child undergoes certain experiences and constructs his own learning path. But what he also says is that a good curriculum, and he said this years and years back, it should be integrated, flexible, utility-based, and very, very socially agile. And something which our national education policy is now, focusing on. I'll continue with you, Dr. Bajpai. I would just very quickly want to know that, the current pandemic compels us, it has compelled all of us to, examine and redesign the whole purpose of education and look at it from a socio-historical perspective to understand how questions of, where is equity and justice are rooted in. But at the same time, how can we use the current situation to redefine a curriculum which is very suited to the current needs of the, the current scenario where we are living in a VUCA world, where there is so much of unpredictability, there is so much of conflict, there is so much of confusion. So what should a good curriculum in current scenario be? Ji, ma'am.
Okay. Actually, good curriculum, if we talk about, because as I already said, that curriculum design, like people, those who are involved in designing the curriculum, they take a sigh of relief when the curriculum is developed. But after evaluation and monitoring, we come to know that the curriculum design meets to the standard of the students or not. So I will say, if a good curriculum has to be developed, then first parameter to say it is a good curriculum, it is the curriculum should be continuously evolving, I'll say, because the curriculum evolved from one period to another to the present. For a curriculum to be effective, it must have continuous monitoring and evaluation, and curriculum must adapt its educational activities, services to meet the needs of a modern and dynamic community. Second, I'll say the curriculum should be based on the needs of the people. A good curriculum reflects the needs of the individual and the society as a whole. The curriculum is in proper shape in order to meet the challenges of times and make education more responsive to the to whom we are catering the education. Okay. The third parameter, I'll say, of a good curriculum, it should be democratically conceived. All right. So a good curriculum is developed through the efforts of a group of individuals from different sectors in the society who are knowledgeable about the interests, needs, and resources of the learner and the society, or I say that if it is designed for a particular institution as a whole. So the curriculum is the product of many minds and energies. Curriculum is the result of a long-term effort. Okay, curriculum, we can make some amendments in the curriculum, but redesigning a curriculum completely, it's not a cup of tea. Okay, so a good curriculum is a product of long and tedious process. It takes a long period of time in the planning, management, evaluation, and development of a good curriculum. Next parameter can be like, because curriculum is developed, it should not be a complex of details. A good curriculum provides a proper instructional equipment and meeting places that are often most conducive to learning. It includes the student-teacher relationship, first of all, guidance, counseling program as well, because not only teaching matters in a school, guidance and counseling programs also matter. Health services even, sometimes I'll say, and school and community projects, library, laboratories, and other school-related work experience is always included in a good curriculum. Curriculum should provide logical sequence of the subject matter. Learning is a lifelong process, we all know. Learning is developmental. So keeping this in mind, we should design the curriculum, and this is the attribute of a good curriculum. Classes and activities should be planned. A good curriculum provides continuity of experiences. Curriculum should complement and cooperate with the other programs of the community also, because the curriculum is responsive to the needs of the community. So the school offers its assistance in the improvement and realization of ongoing programs of the community. So there is cooperative effort between the school and the community towards greater productivity. So, and at the last, I'll say the curriculum, good curriculum, has educational quality.
Quality so much
comes through the situation of the individual's intellectual, and because all of us, we are talking about the overall development of the child, holistic development of a child. So the curriculum should have educational quality, because the curriculum helps the learner to become the best that he can possibly be. Because I always say in the assembly, children, do not compare yourself with anyone, just compare yourself with the best version of yours. So I think curriculum also we should design so that students can take out their best version.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think so well, well articulated way you have put in various points about how a robust curriculum can be curated. And I'm sure all our educators who are watching this episode today would have taken good notes from all the pointers that you shared. I'll come to Shikhaji. Now, Shikhaji, there has been a major transition, and I'm sure with your kind of experience, you would have seen this journey which started from a 19th century driven curriculum to a 20th century driven curriculum to and stepping into 21st century, which completely, there's a paradigm shift in the whole scenario. Now, I would like to know from you, what steps can schools take at their level without overhauling that entire process to, bring the best of both the worlds? Give us some very, very practical, aspects.
Devyani, human being has been evolving. We know the evolution of man. We know about it. Education has also been evolving for the simple reason education caters to human being. So the evolution of human being has always affected education, and education in turn has always affected the evolution of man. But all of us have to remember, none of the things, though we use the term paradigm shift, but that shift has always happened very gradually, very slowly, very carefully, in the sense not to affect mankind in general. But nature doesn't stop at that. Nature decided that now it's high time you changed properly. And that's how the pandemic sort of came with a bang. And the educationists one fine day realized that there is a complete actual paradigm shift that is required. And we could do it. We could do it. The various things that came into the education system during the pandemic time probably did not happen in the last 20 years before that. So again, probably man needs to be pushed. We don't like to use this word, but man needs to be pushed. So I will give you some of the things that have been incorporated in my group under my leadership, right? We were talking about digitalization, and digitalization is extremely essential. We cannot do with it today. But what we noticed and we understood is the physical contact getting less among the children was having its effect on the emotional quotient of the children. So that is how my group came up with the concept, if it's not something particularly new, but focused on socio-emotional development of the children. So this socio-emotional development has played a very important role in the teaching learning process that exists in not only my school, but in my group also. Because the children went through traumas, they saw things from a very close quarter while they were at home all the time, sometimes tips between the parents, sometimes financial problems, sometimes death. So we have seen that the socio-emotional learning, where we looked into tangible outcomes, we actually measured and found out the stability that was coming in the performance of the children, how they were learning to be positive towards negative situations also, and it came out very well with our students. Another thing that we made, we used up was due to the digitalization, the world became very small for us. We could get into collaboration with international schools, international destinations, go for virtual tours, and the knowledge gain was immense, much beyond what we could have done. Today, before the pandemic, if I had to think about sending my students for an international trip, there would be 10 people, 20 people. And now if I have an international collaboration, I'll have 200 students opting for it because it is comfortable, virtual, and affordable to everyone. So this brought in the global connect among the students of our school, of my group, with the global area. My school is one of the very rare schools that is a member of an international forum called the Round Square. Only about 200 schools across the globe are their members. And we got the opportunity to work on the various sustainable development goals and the points that have been brought up by the national education policy, all blended into one when we collaborated globally to give in the best to our students. Yeah. Another thing, and I'm reminding you that, Jani, you wanted practical suggestions. So I'm telling you about the things that we have actually done.
Actually, I want that.
Yeah, so 2 points I've already told you. One more thing, my group is very, very focused on the teacher training. The national education policy now talks about teachers training in extensive details, and that the schools and the groups themselves should ensure a 50 hours annual training for the teachers. My school has come up with a training academy for teachers where weekend trainings are mandatory. Like suppose you hear something 200 times, out of those 200, there will be at least two things that you will remember and you will want to implement in your classes. So it is a continuous process that my group is doing that is about grooming the teachers. They need to be told, they need to be groomed. I may be good with languages and may not be so good with my communication. There may be areas where I can't handle certain online problems like responding to a wrong response from a student, or when children do not want to comply to your wishes. So these are several. More than 1.5 years, my teachers have been regularly trained. They are being regularly trained. So this is the third aspect that is helping us ensure a revised and more appropriate curriculum and educational conducive environment for my teachers as well as for my students. And the main thing we want to focus on is academic freedom for the children, a customized approach and education available everywhere, anywhere, all the time.
Thank you so much. I think your school and your organization is actually implementing the tenets of the national education policy in its full swing. And I'm sure our viewers would, and the principals, so many principals keep joining our web episodes, and they would have made a note of it. And I was really, enamored by the socio-emotional behavior when you said two things. One, that of course the socio-emotional behavior, and
we call it the socio-emotional learning. It is the learning for the teacher, it is the learning for the students also.
And and assessing that, because when you're talking about the new normal, we are talking about and post-pandemic situation, I think the story should begin from the socio-emotional learning. And then another thing that really struck me was when you spoke about the global connect, and which you're so right that all these exchange programs or collaborative, ventures between schools and various, across the globe schools. It used to be so not affordable. There was like, skepticism that how will things, but with this virtual world coming in, and, there's a whole big netizens surviving, we must make the best of it. Thank you so much. Thank you. Moving on to Chaitanya ji. Now, according to a report I was reading that was developed by Deloitte on reimagining K-12 education with a STEM pedagogy in India. We need to prepare our students with the required skill sets to be able to think creatively, critically, holistically. And that's what I was initially also talking, that it is going to be a there's a technological boom, and things will be driven. Technology is an enabler in current times. But we find it relatively difficult to understand STEM as an interdisciplinary teaching pedagogy. However, the research highlighted that a strong belief amongst the academic fraternity regarding the STEM or STEAM, hands-on discovery-led teaching methodology and approach towards learning being most beneficial, but also a little difficult to incorporate. Now, in the light of NEP 2020, which also emphasizes incorporating technology, what challenges, one, how can it happen? And two, what challenges the school might face while integrating STEM, knowing that Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham stands tall and stands loud when it comes to STEM education. So this was a question I wanted to ask you.
Yes, Devani ma'am. See, one important thing again, let me come back to what Shika ma'am has mentioned about the that emotional learning. So my suggestion again is when this STEM is implemented, the teachers and the students must be able to relate how the technology can be used in diverse domains. For example, a biotechnology student who is working closely with the DNA sequencing, genome sequencing, etc., they may have to understand how this artificial intelligence can be used to reduce their work. They'll have to understand how this machine learning can do some predictions. For example, how the drug design can be done with the help of these AI and machine learning tools. So basically, what does it mean? It means that even a biology student is expected to understand how the technology can be used to reduce their work, and that time they can utilize it for further research. Recently, there was a controversial news that one of the old SCBIs, a Security Exchange Board of India CEO, was arrested. And when we talk about technology, the most important aspect is that even the humanities and commerce students are also expected to understand how technology is important for their career. So recently, during a couple of the sessions with the students, I asked them, did you hear about the news where one of the ex-CEOs was able to manipulate the entire the value of the share and stock in the market just with the help of technology? So when we integrate the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics in the learning process, one of the important skills we have to make sure to ensure is that how do you balance between the two? How do you make sure that it is not being misused? Secondly, how is it possible for you to make them understand how they can apply to the real applications? See, when we talk about curriculum has to or curriculum must have skill-based learning systems where they apply. Secondly, how far a curriculum is able to generate curiosity. So what happens if the STEM is integrated? STEM, which means that if STEM is integrated, it will automatically create curiosity in the mind of the students. See, we always listen to the predictions and warnings by the Disaster Management Authority. Basically, how does it work? Essentially, it is the people who have done graduation in geography, graduation in physics, combined with computational skills. They are able to do some predictions. So how far we are able to relate those concepts with that real application, that matters a lot. So science, engineering, mathematics, and let us talk about Netflix. Now you open Netflix, you log on to the Amazon Prime Video, and you are able to see the favorite videos or favorite web series, and it starts recommending you. These are the web series, these are the movies for you. How does it work? Basically, there is computing. Basically, there is mathematics working behind that. And nobody knows that there is mathematics involved in AI, in machine learning. A large number of students knows, but they have not been able to understand the real application. So how do we create a curiosity among the students? And that curiosity, I feel, that can be created only by bringing in STEM and bringing in real life applications connected with the concepts. That has to change. And then automatically, I believe the skills will evolve. They will try to find out how they can solve a problem. So that is my take on it.
I think very well said that skill-based, and I know you always keep referring to that it's not about just the science students for whom STEM learning becomes important, but in current world, even the humanities and the commerce students, to survive the challenges, they need to have a very, very integrated and interdisciplinary curriculum. And the curriculum should offer two important things. One is that it should be robust in terms of, and very empowered when it comes to providing the right kind of skills to the students. And second is that it should generate curiosity. That is what was the view of Maheshwar Chaitanyaji when we asked him that how could a STEM curriculum be integrated. Thank you so much, Chaitanyaji. Coming back to Ms. Ritu, I would like to ask you that the National Education Policy strongly recommends now vocational education. While the boards are coming up with ways and means of its integration, how can educators and school administrators promote it amongst the students and parents? And what I mean when we vocational to be taken up as an equity when it comes to, the subjects and not just pushed back. So, how can we reinvent this new model, which will be compliant with national education policy? And also what you're doing in your school, that is what.
Okay, Devyani. I completely agree with you that like as NEP is talking about vocational education to be introduced in schools. So at administrators, what challenges like we are facing, that I'll tell, and what action I'm taking in my school, and I like if not taken yet, what I'm planning to take. In this way, I'll cover this question. Like the first challenge, if I tell that, like it is coming overcoming social status hierarchy associated with vocational education. The first challenge what I notice I'm facing in the school, it is this. So what I'm planning to take the action against this, like organization of awareness programs, okay, to change the general perception and attitude towards the vocational education. First of all, I am planning, and vocational exposure to children from grade 6 onwards in all secondary and higher secondary sections. Information, education and communication, that is IEC, and media campaigns also. I'm planning regarding for this particular challenge. And then preparation and distribution of brochures, leaflets, pamphlets, video shows on vocational education and courses. The next challenge, what I'm noticing as an administrator in the school, like integrating vocational education with general education, because parents' feeling is like, first of all, children should reach to class 10th and then they should start preparing for competitive examination. Like counseling also, guidance also, counseling sessions they need after class 10 to select the stream only. So this kind of mentality of the parents to be broken, and as CBSE is also saying, we should start guidance and counseling of the students is right from grade 6. So integrating, how to integrate vocational education with general education with focus on social inclusion, gender equality and inclusive education. This is a biggest challenge, I think, in front of all the administrators in the world. So what we can do is introduction of skill-based activities from preschool to grade 12. This we can plan, and then reforming the curricula through enhanced content of vocational knowledge and skills, better course alignment with skill standards and interdisciplinary content connections. We can develop a workplace related skills and attitudes through internships even, like we, children right from class 6, we can give skill based, because NEP is all about skill based education. We can focus on good practices and innovations by teachers in teaching and learning. Then what we can do, like facilitating horizontal mobility of vocational students in the school. This is the biggest challenge in front of us. So what we can do is, and we can collaborate with industrial training institutes like polytechnics, local businesses, industries, hospitals, agriculture farms, local artisans and NGOs even, through hub and spoke model for imparting skill training in our schools. And the next challenge is integrating new age skills, 21st century skills and entrepreneurship education in the school. Here I'll say, as we are talking about 21st century education, what I feel like, our children are in 20th century, parents are in 19th century, and we are talking about 21st century. So how to align this? So we as principals sitting here to align, to match that we are planning, like NEP, CBSE, everything, everybody is focusing on 21st century, but how to align parents, students, and then this policy can be implemented. So I think for to face this challenge, what we can do, like we can integrate employability skills at all stages of school education. We can introduce vocational courses on new and emerging skill demands of the industry, such as artificial intelligence, as Chaitanya sir also said, robotics, Internet of Things, will be introduced, and will enterprise education and will be promoted from grade 6 onwards. So I will focus vocational courses should be introduced right from class 6. And then we can promote online and open vocational education also. We can introduce new learning methods and digital tools like massive open online courses. MOOC is available. flipped learning, we can go for it. And virtual learning methods will be used for training the teachers, as Shikha Banerjee ma'am also said that she focuses on the training or more and more training of the teachers. So like suppose 100 training sessions they will be, because 2 hours training is mandatory by CBSE per month. So 12 into 2 means 24 hours training per year. If a teacher will take that, definitely out of 24 sessions, she will implement at least 12 implementations the teacher will be doing in the class. So I'm very much agree with Shikha ma'am. And the last challenge which I'll say in implementing vocational education in the school is how to develop and implement a holistic assessment and evaluation system. So what we can do, we can conduct interest assessment and aptitude test to measure special abilities or readiness for learning in various vocational areas. And then we can measure the achievement of learning outcomes through various tools and methods, such as like we can prepare checklists, group work, peer assessment, worksheets, presentations, students' portfolio, etc. Means 360-degree assessment and evaluation of the students we have to do. Then only we can suggest a right vocational course to the students.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Time. Thank you.
No, it was very well. I think there is no stone unturned, and I'm sure, and I really liked, which is very, very practical. You said we are talking about the 21st century. Are we actually there? Are we prepared to be? We are talking about students, to empower students, but we first need to look at and empower our teachers. Thank you so much, Dr. Bajpai. I would now want to ask a question to both Shikha ma'am and Chaitanya ji. The question is that we are talking about sustainable development goals. And yes, SDG 4 is all about an inclusive and holistic education. Now that the role, and it had always been there, the role that the curriculum can play in enabling an ecologically and socially just and connected world is to be reflected upon, So without elaborating myself on this, I would like you to tell us, that our audience, that how could we weave the ecological and social equity in the existing curriculum to make them more enriching and powerful for our students, because at the end of the day, everything tantamounts to student learning, their harmonious existing in society, and the various skills that we are. And how do we now weave it to this? So, Shikha ma'am, if you could speak first, and then Chaitanya ji put the cherry on the cake.
So, Devyani, I'm picking up the term equity from your statement. I'm only picking up the word equity. Let us all understand, when we say equity, we do not mean equality, right? Yes. Let us get that very clear. And if that is clear, one of the prime requirements today is about catering to personalized teaching learning procedure in the classroom and beyond the classroom also. I have told you about the digitalization that is going on in my institution, in our institution, the training that we are catering to. We are also promoting a lot of project-based learning. And here the project-based learning has to be understood as a learning that takes place after the child goes through some kind of an activity. It is not about making a project. It is about having a learning coming from the base of a project. Right, so this is very strongly being used by our teachers. My teachers have been trained for this, and project-based learning has become a very regular part of the classroom transaction that is happening. Another thing that is very important, I picked that term from Mrs. Bajpai's statements, that is about integration, bringing the subjects together. If we look back at our Indian traditional education system, I'm talking about the Vedic era, there was no watertight compartment between the subjects. They overlapped one another. One set of understanding brought in collaboration with languages, with social sciences, with social services. That should be the approach now, where mathematics is not different from the sciences. Sciences is not different from social sciences. Social sciences is not different from languages. So integration is required, where we need to break away from the watertight compartment. I'm a maths teacher and I don't know about languages. That will not do. The teacher's knowledge bank has to be much beyond his or her subject area. It has to be inclusive of the requirements of the time. And of course, the traditional methods followed in the classroom has to be transacted, bringing in the various novelties possible, which include the various skills, the various competencies, vocations, projects, outside activities. All of it needs to be brought together. And of course, they have to break away from their classrooms. It has to be a virtual presence among the people around you, in the nature, with the nature, in the laboratories, wherever, something different way, where you have a practical online hands-on experience of learning, because today's education is defined as a learner's platform. Teachers have less to do in it, or should ideally be having less to do with it, where you initiate learning. Because when the teacher is active, the teaching is happening, yes, but we are not sure whether the learning is happening or not. That needs to be monitored, and for that it has to be a child-centered education system where the teacher is the facilitator to take it forward to ensure that the learning has happened. So this is a very important thing, to taking them out of their textbooks, out of their classrooms, and out into the education arena. And I'll reiterate my previous phrase, education anytime, anywhere. And it has to be at the customized pace of the students. Vocational training can further be very well clubbed with the various socially relevant activities, the social service activities, which form a part of holistic education. And if we are catering to holistic education, social services should be a part of it. And are teaching learning in some form or the other. Even when we are teaching the children about water, its utility, we should teach them how to preserve water, how not to waste water. What can they come up with? Because our group of schools, they cater to, we have an adult tinkering lab also. And it is blended with the design thinking and artificial intelligence lab that we have. Design thinking is about the child with his empathy, trying to create and be aware of the situations that need to be mended. AI coming up with solutions, what can be done, and the adult tinkering lab taking it forward with various types of day-to-day requirements that can make life easy, comfortable, preserve nature, support nature, and take education in its holistic form to the best possible way.
Great, very well said, ma'am. Education anywhere, anytime. Facilitators need to be at the margins. And I'm also actually want to just add on before we move on to Chaitanya. So Cope's experiential learning. I think that every child should undergo, the concrete experience, the reflective observation, and, the abstract conceptualization. And finally, it comes to that active experimentation. He starts so beautifully from letting the child experience, then internalize, and then reflect, and then come on with his own new, experimentation. So thank you so much, Shikaji. It's been so much of learning on this platform today. Moving on to Chaitanyaji. Yes, Chaitanyaji, what you have to say about how can we integrate it ecologically and socially?
Partially, Shikha ma'am has already mentioned. One important aspect is project-based learning. Project-based learning alone can imbibe values and skills into the student's mind. They will be able to absorb whatever content has been taught in the class only when they apply in the project. So when we try to get into a project, the students get into a project, one of the important thing the teachers, the educators can think of is to understand how much values we can bring into the project. For example, I'll tell you a very small example where our university asks our engineering students to go to the villages and visit the schools and teach the children in those schools. So what is the benefit of such a project? So what happens is, whenever a student moves from school to a college, the important thing in their mind is that they start enjoying, they have that freedom, and they think that they have moved out from a prison. That kind of mentality they have. But of course, they don't know that they are jumping into a bigger prison. That is a different story. But what we try to make the students understand is they must value whatever they have. They must be able to understand the value of their facilities and the luxury they have. For example, almost every student have a laptop now. And when they move from school to the college, definitely they will ask for the laptop. Earlier in my days, I know I will wait for father to, say that, you will get a watch, a wristwatch or a cycle, something like that. But now it is mobile phones or tablets or laptops. Now, when these students go to a village and see the children there in a government school, they must be able to understand how privileged we are, or what is the facility which we enjoy and what others are not able to get. So that kind of a comparison through this project can create some values, and that will change the attitude of the children, and that alone will change, because seeing is believing, and when they see, they have to believe, and they are part of they're part of the project. That is one thing. Second thing is that now every family has multiple vehicles. I have a car, somebody else in the family has a scooter. Now, can we make the children think to reduce the number of vehicles in a family and maximum use the public transportation system? That is also part of the sustainable development goals. Now, let us take even the career, as Bajpayee ma'am was talking about the career. How many of the students in India think about the investment of the fees, how much their parents will invest in their career, and what is it that they can return, and when can they return, so that they also understand the burden taken by the parents. They also understand how much impact parents, or how much effort the parents are trying to make them uplift themselves in education. So these are a few things, boiling down to what I feel is that through this project-based learning, it is not just the skills we need to imbibe. Two aspects is, one is the values and other is the attitude of the children when they grow up. For example, we all use tissue paper, we all use paper plates, we all use different plates even at home, so that how much time are we wasting to wash those plates, how much water are we wasting to wash those plates. So these things, if they think in the daily life, in their routine, if we can make them think of such kind of situations, I feel that the sustainable development goals can be easily implemented through the school system. And coming back again, it must be project based, and there is no other alternative. We cannot make them understand with videos, we cannot make them understand with some simple speeches, but making them understand by doing so, that becomes an experiential learning, that also becomes a game changer in their life.
Absolutely. Project-based learning can is the only way forward, because it will bring in the abilities. One, that as you just said, the child enters with a lot of enthusiasm, but doesn't know that what is he heading towards. So yes, there's a lot of collaboration, team building, and experiencing the whole learning journey. And and it's because I remember when I was in Heritage Experiential Learning School way back many years back, it was that time where we used to take our children to these projects, and not just very senior, the project-based learning was implemented in the primary and the middle school, and they were made to visit and live, and it was a very integrated approach. So with this, we come to the end. And may I ask, Deepika, do we have any questions in the chat box? Any questions from our audience who would like to, or any observations our audience would want to make, or insights they want to share? We will be very happy to have these insights.
Dear audience, if you have any questions, kindly raise your hand.
I think we had such a, do we have?
No, ma'am, not yet.
I think we had such a satiating discussion today. Our panelists left no stone unturned in helping us understand how to reimagine and recreate a curriculum which will well be aligned with 21st century needs. One last line, before we end, I would like each of the panelists to say what would be your closing statement for today's session. We begin with Chika Banerjee ma'am.
You have asked for one sentence, then Devyani, allow me 2 sentences, please. Right. First sentence for my teachers, or rather teacher fraternity in general. It's not about only my teachers. Allow yourself to grow. Growth is a very natural process. You just have to allow yourself to grow. It will happen unless you resist it. So allow yourself to grow and allow your students to grow. Be a slightly passive teacher in your class. Let the children take the lead. They know the way. You will have to just act as the facilitator, and you will be amazed to see what your children can do.
So beautiful, so beautifully said. Allow yourself to grow and allow your students to grow, because growth is a dynamic process. It can happen anytime, anywhere. Thank you so much. Moving on to you, Dr. Ritu Bajpai.
I'm very much impressed with Banerjee ma'am, as she said, integration of subjects. So I'll say here as my ending quote that life never takes exam subject-wise. Till class 12th, we appear in exams subject-wise. Physics, chemistry, biology, accountancy. But after class 12th, when we enter to face the challenges of the life, then life never takes exam subject-wise. And there is one pattern that here in the school life, we prepare first and then we appear in the exam. Okay, then the result comes. And life, first of all, take exam and then we learn something from the action what the life takes. So I will say that as integration of subject is very much necessary, because after entering in the world to face the challenges of the life will merge all the subjects. Koi subject alag se nahi hoga. And as Banerjee ma'am said that teachers should be growing day by day. I'll say teachers will definitely grow when they will be ready to learn, because learning is a lifelong process. Never feel like I'm postgraduate, I'm doctorate, no matter how much caliber you have and how much educated you are. But there is always a room for the improvement and there is always a scope to learn. So always keep learning. If staff members will keep learning, then definitely they can impart that kind of knowledge to their students also. So this is my ending one. Thank you. Thank you, Devyani.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vajpayee. Yes, I do believe with you. Life doesn't take exams subject-wise. It first takes exams and then prepares you. Thank you so much. Over to you, Chaitanyaji.
I'll take the quote from what our Chancellor Sri Madam Devi says. So she says that education is not just for life, it is also for living. The students have to understand, or we have to make them understand that getting a job is not the end of life. They have to move on. And as Shikha ma'am said, the growth, that growing is applicable for all the individuals. And just like we opened up our minds in the past 2.5 years, I think that has to continue without a force, without waiting for a situation. We have to be ready. We must be ready to grow from all dimensions of life so that it becomes holistic.
Great. Thank you so much, Chaitanyaji. Yes, life is not just for life. I really believe, and it is for a living. And I want to end it here by J. Krishnamurthy's saying that life is, education is a lifelong process, and it is an exploration and not just a means to an end, which is your jobs. So live life, learn, unlearn, and relearn. And we come to the end of our session. I would just say that we need a reimagination of school curriculum that integrates diverse disciplinary knowledges to engage students with key corners of everyday citizen, unfolding the school curriculum in its true spirit. In words of Pinar, he quotes and he says, and I quote, not to produce accomplished test takers, efficient and docile employees, to help us think and act with intelligence, sensitivity, and courage in both the public sphere as citizens aspiring to establish a democratic society, and in the private sphere as individuals committed to the other individuals. I'll leave you with this evening with this thought. We'll be back with some more interesting deliberations at the same time every Tuesday and Thursday. If you want us to discuss a particular theme or have a suggestion, do write to us at info@edudevs.com. Thank you so much. Namaskar, all dear panelists, and thank you for sparing this time.
Ma'am, we'll be playing a video.
Okay, we'll be playing a video.